What's up, guys? This is Nick the Sane here, bringing you another video on YouTube of the Crew 2 New York shortcuts. I'm sorry that I didn't upload in a while. Obviously, I've been busy with a lot of other games, but we're gonna get right into the video as I start to explain the shortcuts to you. And I'm gonna put the time length on where the shortcuts are located in the description of the video. Now, the one thing that I want to tell you is that if you have nitrochemist parts boosted in the Crew 2, it's good to actually use them for this particular event, especially if you're going for records, because I would do it. So uh, it works out good for me. I don't actually get to waste my nitrous. I use plenty of vehicles in New York hypercar, uh, and I feel that it's completely useful. So to get started, as you can see, I barely use my nitrous to be able to stay at 303, 296, 303, somewhere around there. Uh, I basically use it until using that shortcut on 4%. You're going to take a left and try to make sure that you stay in the middle where the trees are. Take a right, land on the road. Now, this next shortcut is very risky. I don't recommend taking it if you don't feel the need to. I mean, it does exchange seconds, but at the same time, when you use it at 6%, it lands you at 7% without having to take that corner, because you take two corners around that particular time. And the only reason why I don't recommend doing that for starting players that are focused on their record in New York is because if you're not willing to take the risk to do so, then I think that it would be a lot better for you to use the regular way instead of the shortcut. But that's just in case you want to risk it. Now, I used the Bugatti Magma Edition, and I used the Deep Blue Edition. And I gotta say, the Deep Blue Edition feels a lot better than the Magma Edition. I had a bit of difficulty. As you can see, like I hit that car, obviously, because I kind of messed up a couple of times in this race, just to let you know. Now, in this next one, you're gonna stay on your right side and make sure that you get a clear angle. I mean, I would rather recommend you going full send on that particular shortcut, depending on if you have no traffic. Obviously, I play on PS4, so the rendering isn't really too good. Um, so, yeah. This next shortcut coming up is another one that you could decide to do. It's up to you. But what you're going to do after this corner is that you're going to take a left inside where the trees are to avoid, you know, that particular length. You can either go in between the trees here and full send it, waste a bit of your nitrous to jump, or you could just take the way that I took. But it's a complete option for you. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend that for people who don't want to risk it. But as you can see, I'm kind of ahead of schedule. As I said before, I messed up a couple of times in this particular race. Still managed to get a good record. But I don't recommend you wasting your nitrous in situations like this when it has to do with your nitrochemist boosted parts, especially when it comes down to needing it in the long run. And at 15%, which is a small shortcut, you're gonna pretty much go through the grass, right to left, land back on the road, and then don't really full send your nitro. Just use a bit of nitro jumping there, air nitro to be exact, and then pretty much just save it to when you actually get to 17%, and then go in between the trees here, off-road of course. You land at 17. You could do it either way as long as you don't hit any trees. So the next shortcut that I'm going to tell you is that you have to pretty much stay on your right, because the problem is that people don't usually stay on the right. They usually stay on the left hand side or in the middle, and then they forget the shortcut of one hitting the trees. What you got to do is A second after you approach the green sign, you have to literally full send through it at least 280, 290. I went at 280, so takes you off road to that, lands on the other side of that particular road. This defeats the purpose of you actually going around deeply. Saves a lot of time, saves a good percentage of time. And then it brings you to still 19%. No, it brings you to 21%. Just to make sure. Don't want to be wrong with that. And then, as you can obviously see, this whole entire time I haven't really wasted my nitro so much. You're going to go off-road on the 22, so you don't have to take that curve. I know the grass really slows you down a bit, but sometimes it's worth you doing it. Since I had a lot of traffic, it was very hard for me to be able to sustain using myself being on the road, of course. So I was able to take a shortcut here. I know I wasn't supposed to, but with the extra air, you kind of really have to decide whether you want to take the road and hit a car or not. So I recommend doing that. Now, this way that I'm taking, you really don't have to do that. I just did that because usually when I see traffic, I try to avoid that, but it definitely does slow me down. Now, this other, I would say smaller shortcut that's coming up, I feel that it's up to you to take. You could take the regular way, but it does help you avoid the traffic a lot. So I go through here at 26, get off the road, and then land back on it. Now, there isn't any other shortcuts until probably 30%. But as I said before, the prime example of what you want to do in a situation like this is that you want to be able to save as much nitrous as you can, because if you're going to be trying to go for runs, some of you that have 29, 28, 27 times, you want to save your nitrous in any way possible. And it starts by you just like pretty much tapping it. Even if you don't have nitrochemist boosted parts, it's very important for you to be able to exchange it while using it in a very good aspect. So after 29, on the left hand side, you could either take the red car or not, but you can go in it between the way that I did. Go through these trees, try to maintain your speed. It's better to get a full send and charge right through it, trying to get through the trees and not, because then you'll be able to get to the other side at 31% in a better way. This just defeats the purpose of you slowing down on that corner. Instead, you take the trees, take a bit of a risk, and you wind up on the other side of that corner. So it's pretty good, Rather than you just slowing down, you can continue to full send instead of having to actually slow down there. But like I said before, if you drive in different vehicles, it could be completely helpful for you, but I recommend actually just gunning the shortcuts, because the faster you do them, the better the times you'll be, or the better times you'll have, correction. So this next shortcut, I recommend full send. You just go through here at 34, stay on the left hand side. I recommend going straight and then only turning when you actually do see trees, because of course, kind of defeats the purpose of the shortcut. As you can see, it lands you at 36 and you're pretty much on the road again. Now the next particular shortcut, it's a really helpful shortcut if you master it, especially going full send, especially if you know how to time your nitrous correctly. It is extremely useful. So the left hand side, 37%, you take the bridge and then you go straight, take the hill. I thought that the air nitro was going to help, but obviously it still slowed down my speeds. Take it right onto the road. Now, when doing this particular shortcut, you got to be aware that I believe between 38 and 39%, you're still gonna have the wrong way indicator on there, because it's trying to, the GPS is trying to reroute. So the faster it reroutes, the better, because then you won't have that. Obviously, it served as a distraction for me, and I really couldn't see what was ahead of me. So yeah, I think at 37%, because you're gonna stay at 37%. Thought it was really 38. Um, and then when you get off the road here, after this corner, you're gonna go through the trees, up this hill, slow down a little bit, and then you're gonna take that hill and go right back on the track. Hopefully in a better way, obviously, because it was a bit sloppy. Uh, so again, all the shortcuts in the very beginning that I just showed you, they could be useful in a way, especially if you know how to really take those corners and take the shortcuts by, you know, full sending. Because the minute you start slowing down on those shortcuts, it becomes a problem for you to use them, especially if you don't see much of a difference. Obviously, you can complete the course at 28 minutes, maybe even 27. It is very possible. But with traffic, it's better to use the shortcuts, because you could actually be able to maintain your speed some of the times, and you could actually be able to finish the course faster, of course. As you can see, we're at 44%, 1133, which isn't too bad. I mean, obviously it could be better. I only use a bit of my nitrous because I realized that I have to maintain, of course. Again, as I said before, it isn't just New York. Maintaining your nitrous when it comes to records is very important, because the only time you want to use that nitrous is when you personally have the last 5 to 3% left to go. And then when you do, you're good, you know. So this next shortcut up here is at 49%. Take a right. I don't recommend taking it the way I did. Obviously, I got lucky by hitting that particular tree. But you want to take a right as soon as you get to that particular corner and go down, because once you fly between the middle of the trees, you can actually go full send onto the road again. And you take a left here. Obviously, you would actually go full send, sorry. And then take this one, which defeats the purpose of all the corners. Obviously, I didn't have that much speed. And then right back on the track again. Keep in mind that the only reason why those shortcuts are really good is because they are on the track for a purpose to help you finish it faster. The more you time it, the more you perfect it, the better you do so. At 52%, you're going to go in between the right trees. Stay on your right, go in between the right trees again. It's going to send you all the way down. And then back on the road. 54%. Now, that shortcut is a bit tricky because, I mean, you could obviously go 160 to 200 on that particular shortcut, but it's kind of tricky to do so. You don't want to fly into another tree. You take a left at 55, puts you back on the track. And there isn't another shortcut until 67, 68, somewhere around there. The more you're willing to take a risk on these shortcuts, the better it is for you. If you want to know which vehicles it is to obtain records, I mean, in my personal opinion, I think that is a personal preference for you to be able to use these vehicles to get records, because pretty much there's a lot of vehicles in the hypercar section that have a lot of potential, and they can actually obtain records. not better than others, but of course, you know, you could use those vehicles to obtain records. The top vehicles, Magba Devo Edition, Porsche Green Flash Edition. You know, you got the Aventador, you got the regular Devo, you got the Veyron Deep Blue Edition, you got the Pagani, the Summit Pagani. I mean, there's a lot of other options that you pretty much have. I mean, I've even seen people do a Kona Sec. But the reason why is because they're able to maintain these shortcuts and being able to maintain the speed. Maintaining speed is, again, as I said before, it's very important because the more you save your nitrous and the more you actually keep it to where it's constantly refilling and you can constantly use it, the better it is for you. Obviously, you are going to mess up, but you always have to tell yourself that as long as you ignore that there is traffic and you ignore some of the stuff that's on the track and ignore the conscious of ever fucking up, you do better. You know, obviously your eyes has to be on the track, but it's just to gain that pure focus. So, as you can see, because of the shortcuts, we're here at 16:12. We obviously would have been here faster if I timed the shortcuts legitimately. But of course, I had a bit of an issue there. Now, this next shortcut at a particular percent, you really have to kind of be on your left side for this particular shortcut. It's after this highway. It's moving towards the hills, most likely. So I would have used the Deep Blue Edition for this particular video, but I decided to use Magma considering that the speed obviously has a better top speed than the Deep Blue Edition. But this is still a good car, though. So we're at 68%. After this left corner, you're gonna full send. Go right off here. Stay to your right. Obviously, don't hit that rock because that's a problem, but it still gets you onto the track. But you need to avoid the rock. Going off it the regular way is better. And then you land on the track. So after this next upcoming shortcut, there are no more shortcuts until 82. I think before 82 when you go off the rock, but obviously I messed up there. The trick is for you to kind of like stay on the track. I wouldn't really consider this a shortcut. I mean, this is more of something that you just lays you down on the track. You don't have to turn into it. So 18 minutes, 70%. What you're going to do is at 71, you're going to take a left. You're going to stay on your left, right? Because the key is to just literally stay on your left. Don't use too much of your nitrous. And then just gun it straight through here. Land you on the track. Avoid two corners. Saves a lot of time. So remember, there's only 3 shortcuts left. Now, everybody is always asking me, oh, Nick, you know, what is the most important shortcuts you should really try not to fuck up? And that's kind of a tricky one because usually the beginning decides about how the race is going to be, or usually the end decides about how the race will be. So it's on both sides. It's not that, you know, you effing up in the beginning means that you can start over repeatedly. You just want to time it right, so that way you can avoid making the same mistakes for the next run. So, in my personal opinion, landing 82 is very important because 82 is literally the one particular thing that you want to engulf and understand more than any other shortcut in this game. Because landing that could save you extra time, and because they nerfed most of the shortcuts and they're spawn on track, you kind of have to do it the regular way. which is what I'm going to show you when we get there. But 82 is most important because if you land that, that'll save enough time and you'll be able to kind of decide what you want to do from there. Because all the other shortcuts you can make up with at like 30% or like 49, you know, as long as you time it right. But each shortcut should be timed right. It doesn't have to be extremely perfect, but just imperfect to the point where like you can actually see yourself be your record, or you know. But the point is just to practice it. You should never really rush yourself when it comes to New York. But these shortcuts are just meant for you to be able to program in your brain and build that muscle memory to be like, okay, I can't move a little bit, I can't wiggle a little bit going through the shortcut. I gotta go straight through, I gotta stay on the right, I gotta stay on the left. Coordination, you know. So up here, now you could choose the regular way of doing this, which, you know, obviously will waste a bit of time, not too much. I don't think there's too much of a time difference. But I would recommend taking this shortcut and staying on your left hand side, because I wasn't able to do that and I messed up completely from doing so. So you're going to take this right up this hill, and then you're going to kind of full send. Obviously you stay to your left. I fucked up really badly, so, but not too badly to the point where, you know, missed time. But you have to stay on your left. So I messed up that particular shortcut. You know, obviously things happen. Can't be too much of a perfect driver. And then you're gonna, after you get off that shortcut, you're gonna take a left, go down this particular side, and continue to stay towards your left so you can land on there. Which wasn't too bad, because even though I hit a tree, I still was able to go down this pattern the way I did. But always stay towards your left, you know, so that way you have a clear landing. I tried a couple of times on the right, they always landed me somewhere else. So the objective is to keep 100 around these particular corners, because what happens is that you get to land on the track here, you hit the wall, boom, you back on track. So 82 shortcut, after the hill, when you get off of that particular checkpoint, you're going to take a left, stay on your left, go outwards, you know, past the hill, the first hill, then turn, stay on your right, and make sure you collect enough speed to draw yourself down. After the jump, you're going to stay towards your left, so that way you can avoid as many trees as possible, which is impossible because, you know, well, not impossible, but it's difficult because there's a shitload of trees there, and the objective is to not hit as many trees. If you hit one tree, it's not really a total loss as long as it shoots you downwards. But you always have to make sure that you're at 100 when going down that hill, or at least at the last seconds, and then you always hit the wall, and then boom, you do back on track, and it lands it every single time. Some people prefer the rocks. People use the rocks as a jump. I wouldn't recommend it for people who are willing to risk a lot, because by the time you land down, if you hit something, it's gonna respawn you. It's gonna respawn you all the way back. So I think that, to me, that's the safest way of doing it. Because obviously the rock one is just a complete and utter risk. So I had to correct myself when I said that there was only 3 shortcuts left. There's actually 2. So basically, this next shortcut is in the city. So in the city at approximately, I'm assuming it's between 93%, or yeah, it has to be 93%. If not, I'll post that in the video. Yes, 93%. So you're gonna stop right here, go between the trees, right? And then you're gonna take a right over here, and then boom, defeats the purpose of you taking that particular corner and doing it the regular way. Then you get full send speed over here. And then last but not least, the shortcut on the left hand side at 94, which will bring you on the track again. So that's pretty much it, guys. And surprise at the end of the video, but time these shortcuts, master them, had them engulfed into your brain, and you can probably finish better than I did. So that's the purpose behind New York. The fun, the ride, and just finishing in time. So I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video. I hope I explained enough to you. Sorry that I'm a little chatty. I hope that you guys like, comment, subscribe, and please share amongst people who are actually interested in the Crew 2 and New York shortcuts. This is Nick the Saiyan. It was swell explaining this stuff to you. I hope you guys learned from this. I'm out. Peace.